Hey, what's up? Just want to say hi to anybody who might catch this. Thank you for coming to the Living Dead Weekend event this past weekend. It was awesome to meet so many new people. I finally got some sleep. I went to sleep at 6 a.m. Got up at 3, and now I had to go out and get some coffee, but the nearest 7-Eleven was in Evans City. I'm staying up near there. And of course, when in Evans City, where else would I go but the Evans City Cemetery? So as you can see here, this is the view behind me of the car driving through the cemetery. Once the car in Night of the Living Dead enters the cemetery, you see it goes up the main driveway. The next shot you see is it come around over here on this path and drive directly towards the center of the picture here. Okay? And the next shot you see is the car coming back towards camera. But what they did is they just moved over a little bit. And you remember the shot, you see there's a flag in view. Well, somebody still puts out a flag in the exact same spot. So there it is. And the second view you see is the car coming in the distance there, coming towards camera, comes over here and it turns around this corner and it heads over by the chapel. The chapel is way back there at the beginning of the entrance, and we'll head over there. I mean, every time I'm up here I always have to stop out at the cemetery, take a couple pictures, look around. Everything's fine out here. I know there was a post in Living Dead Weekend group and several groups this weekend that there was some damage done to the Nicholas Kramer stone. If you don't recognize the name, the Nicholas Kramer stone was the stone that Judy O'Day cowers by as her brother Johnny is fighting the cemetery zombie, and then he gets killed, and she stood by it. And then she runs away towards the chapel in her car. Well, somebody had posted that there was irreparable damage over the weekend to the Kramer stone, and that's just totally incorrect. You see, most people take a photo of the front of the Kramer stone, because that would be the view you see Judy O'Day standing next to it and cowering by it. But they don't usually take a picture of the back of it. On the back, there's a big chunk missing from it. I would assume that this chunk broke off of the Kramer stone in the 90s or some such, or even before that, because friends of mine, Christian Stavrakis and Dave Burian, came here in the late 90s, and they saw that this Kramer stone had fallen on the ground. So at some point over the years it had fallen down, and it probably got broken at that point, and they put it back and replaced it into the spot where you see it is today. So this damage that was reported over the weekend is just totally false. And we're going to head over there in a second, and I'll show you. And I'll show you a little bit about the reason why you can also tell it's false. This damage was done a long time ago, and we're almost there. I'll show it to you. A lot of us were worried when we saw this post that some fans had damaged the stone, but it's just totally incorrect. We didn't want to think that fans actually came out here and damaged it. I reserved judgment until I saw more and heard more about this. And then several people told me that, yeah, they remember the damage being there because it's in the back of the stone. Just some people just don't usually take a picture of it. So here is the Nicholas Kramer stone that Judy O'Day cowers by. Like that. As you can see, it hasn't been moved or anything in a long time. It's perfectly fine. But if you look behind it, and not many people ever get this view, there is this chunk missing from the back. And it's been there a long time. Probably when it fell in the 80s or 90s. So please, nobody worry that somebody has damaged this purposely and taken a chunk of it. This has been here a long time. And it's not necessarily, it doesn't even look like anything that's happened recently. It's a little bit smooth. It's a little, it's not too smooth or anything, but it's weathered. So you can see that this has been like this a long time. So I just wanted to let everybody know who's paying attention that there has been no damage. Nobody has, done anything to this monument. This was here, done a long time ago. Of course, since we're here, I'll show it to you again. This is where Judy O'Day stands. I got my coffee here. I'll put it on the ground. And she stands here. She's got her hand. She puts it here, and you see her. Johnny! What's going on, Johnny? So, to her side would be over here, where Johnny and the cemetery zombie are wrestling about. They're struggling. It's all in here. They're fighting. And then all of a sudden, they're struggling, and Johnny falls. He falls right here. And he hits his head on the Clyde Lewis Myers stone. And the view of him hitting his head, you'd see him on the end here. Then you see Judy O'Day over there again. And then you see her run off, and the cemetery zombie is on top of Johnny, who is right here, laying here. You see the cemetery zombie with his hand on his shoulder. You can see those sort of little stones in the view behind him, and he gets up and comes towards me. Before that, when they see the cemetery zombie, you see him walking up a path, or in the distance. In the distance would be this view. This would almost be where the camera would have been. And you see him way in the distance back there. Also here, this is where Johnny and Barbara visit their father. So Barbara would have been knelt down here, Johnny would have been stood up beside her, and this is where they would visit their father. You know what? I don't even remember what he looks like. Of course, before they rest there and talk about their father and have their conversation, Johnny, stop it! You're ignorant! You see them walking through different, between different stones out there in the distance. You also see them walk between here, through here. You can see in the view the Hunter Stone, and you see the Hemphill Stone, and you see them walk directly towards me and walk by me where I am in this view. It's a little humid out today. Phew. Now we are walking towards the chapel at the front of the film. After the cemetery zombie gets up from fighting with Johnny, he runs after Barbara. She comes down this path and runs towards the chapel. But then the next shot is her running through the cemetery, and that's where she falls a little bit over here in front of the cemetery. Their car would have been down here by the chapel. Whew. Humid. So we are getting close to the chapel. Their car would have been right here. Of course, you remember, cemetery zombie goes around the car. After he had chased her through here, she falls by the Lucas Stone. That's where she loses her shoe. Her shoes. Comes running towards the car. So the car would have been here. The cemetery zombie tries to get into the car. He goes and grabs a brick over here by the chapel. Comes up to the side of the car and smashes the window right where I am. Of course, this is the famous chapel that many of the Night of the Living Dead fans should know about. Years ago, Gary Striner, who was the sound man on Night of the Living Dead, and he was a posse member. He's also the brother of Russ Striner, who played Johnny in the film. He started this movement to save the chapel. So all the money that was generated by the fans buying pieces of brick and stone and things from this chapel, the debris and rubble around it, that put all the money together from that fundraising effort went into saving this chapel, and that's why it looks as beautiful as it does now. Looks awesome. Woo! All right, I just wanted to give you a little quick tour while I was here. Why not? I didn't see anybody's comments because I'm just like walking around and my hands are full doing my thing, drinking a coffee. But I have to go back to Kevin's house, take a shower. And then I'm going to head out down toward the mall, and I think Eric Kent is around. Dad Sargent and his family are out and about, so we might go look at some more locations and such. But thanks for watching this video. I will talk to you later. Bye.